Hello, Natasha. Uh,
Hey, Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm
Are
good.
you changing?
So this is Paul Palmer, and
Natasha Todorvic Kellen. Great to be with you guys today.
good to be back again. So I thought today we'd do something a little bit different. Rather than going straight into pharmaceuticals and examples, I thought we'd talk about the tools that you use, the change index, I think it's called.
So you want to change things up, huh, Paul?
I do. I do. I like to do things a bit different, a bit of variety. It's good.
Yeah, we've got a, change readiness index, and
That's the one.
imagine you want to take a team through a change,
Mhm.
and you've got a great design, and you think it's going to work. Well, probably roughly, if I remember the numbers correctly, roughly 70% of change efforts fail. So that means we're not doing things right. And if you can imagine a tool that would let you know who's going to dig their heels in, who's going to be excited about the change, who is going to unravel, who is going to go so lightning fast that it's too fast that you've got to rein them in, and who is going to drag that change like a rock, kicking and screaming that you've got to drag them over the line.
So we're
Knowing,
talking about a larger change, like a group change, an organizational change, a team change, not
well,
the little tiny one.
yeah, well, what's beautiful about this tool is it works at the individual level, it works at the departmental level, and it works at the organizational level.
All right.
So if you know how change ready people are, if you know how resilient they are when it comes to change, if you know what they need to up level their resilience, if you know who is so stressed that they can't tackle one more thing, then that gives you kind of a magical approach to be able to really dial that change in to who your people are, what the organization needs, and where it's going.
I I quite I feel that I'm already aligned in your readiness index as going too fast for everybody.
Probably,
'Cause
probably. Yeah, and I mean
I've had that
that
feedback multiple times.
that is exactly why organizations hire consultants and facilitators and trainers and outside experts like us, because organizationally, you want people to stick to the process. And then when that process doesn't work anymore, the people, you don't quite know what's working and you want things to change. You're looking for folks who are a little bit more out of the box, who
Yeah.
have seen more, who have done more, who are not stuck and chained down by your processes to see things differently. And tools help. And of course, that's why they're hiring you.
Well, I quite like step changes. So I like to go into an organization, usually pharmaceutical manufacturer or distributor, and make a significant change in a small amount of time as possible. But
Well, can
I
I talk
remember,
about you?
sorry?
Can I talk about you, given I know your results?
Yeah, go on then.
Well, you have, and you're kind of in this rarefied category of folks where you are both able to step outside the box, look at big change at the same time, looking at the process and making sure that the process works. And that is not very often found in the same individual, which is why you're so successful.
Ah. But how do I get others then integrated into the same into a strategy? Because, for example, yesterday I was talking to a client and they struggled with the concept even
Yeah,
of where I wanted to take them from and to.
yeah.
And I've got to put it through in baby steps so that they can actually deal with it. Because if I try and do a step change to take them from non-compliance to compliance, they can't keep up.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to break it out into smaller steps. It like I like to use the metaphor, and I probably used it before, of the you've got a baby and you got a football player, and you got to feed the baby and the football player. Well, the baby gets the baby spoon and the football player gets the football player spoon. Now, if you try to feed the baby with the football player spoon or vice versa, it's not going to work. And that's exactly what we do with change.
Uh-huh. See, I cope with it because I do the assessment in my head first by talking to the person and understanding what level that they can cope with. But I can find it's a little bit frustrating when I can't achieve the results that I want to do because they can't cope with it. I had a company, how many years ago now? 6 years ago, maybe. And I knew I could take them from not being able to pass their inspection to being able to pass within a month. But because of their team and because of the way that they work together in their organization, we passed after 9 months.
That's why I always start with assessments, because assessments get under the hood of what's going on. Do they like do they like baby steps? Do they like football player size steps? How fast can you go? How much depth do they need? Are they in stress? If they're in stress, they're going to struggle a heck of a lot more than if they're ready, willing, and want that change to happen. So when you've got when you've got the results, it tells you what to roll out in what sequence and what order and how fast.
Sounds like I need to use it every time at the beginning of a project.
I am happy to do it with you, Paul.
Well, it actually makes sense because if I'm going into an organization to make significant change, then I need to understand the level of input that individuals need. And it's rarely the same across the board. And because of it, you'll find people don't engage because they're already bored.
Yep.
Somebody else is not engaging because you're going too fast and they've not got past the first step when you're already on step 3.
Yeah. Yeah, you've run the racetrack 5 times and they're still tying their shoes.
Yeah.
And they're going, race? What race? Yeah. So you have to know that, because when you're looking at a project timeline, what could take 1 month in one organizational context with one group of people can take 9 months in another.
Yeah.
Because you've got to know their change readiness. You've got to know their resilience factor. You've got to know whether they're going to dig their heels in or whether they're going to sprint. You've got to know all these pieces.
I understand why there's a difference because I was working it out yesterday or this morning. Yesterday morning, I think it was, because I was thinking about the concept of mastery. So a lot of people talk about mastery and you have to put 10,000 hours into some activity to achieve mastery. So I thought, well, in my mastery program, how many hours have I actually put in? Can I claim to be a master at the level that I'm teaching? So I underestimate, as I always do. And by underestimating, I still came up with 60,000 hours.
Well, you got me beat. I'm like at 50,000 with this.
So 60,000 hours in quality assurance.
Wow.
And I did 6 months outside of pharmaceuticals in an IT-oriented business with data management, which actually enhances the skills anyway.
Yeah.
That was 6 months out, but it was still in quality assurance. Somebody didn't believe me that I could implement a quality management system and train the people in 6 months. It works. If you know what you're doing, it works.
If you know what you're doing, absolutely. I think
that's why we need to bring the testing in up front. But unfortunately, Natasha, we're going to have to leave it there for today because change is going to have to wait for next time, because otherwise we're going to be outside the 10-minute limit that's needed on LinkedIn.
All right.
Okay, that's Paul Palmer and
Natasha Todorovic Cowan. Great being with you.
Talk to you soon, Natasha.